This is Mark Belton, SuperTraining Gym, the strongest gym in the West. Today I'm talking about motivation and some underhand pitches. A while back, I said that consistency will knock the shit out of motivation every single time. And I still am a firm believer in that. Motivation, I want to point out, sometimes a good dose of motivation can inspire you, can give you a spark to get you started on something. Sometimes. But in the grand scheme of things, you're going to have to figure out how you can be consistent with stuff. You're going to have to figure out how can you get started. Just getting started is where the motivation will feel the most difficult. But I think people have things twisted a little bit. I think they don't understand that motivation, you don't have motivation and then go and do stuff on a consistent basis. It usually starts the other way around. You go and do stuff, you do shit, and then you're motivated. That's where the 10-minute walk comes in. That's where you hear me talking a lot about low-hanging fruit. You hear me talking, I'm not talking about literally eating a bunch of fructose all day and eating a bunch of fruit. I'm talking about things that are going to be easy, things that are accessible, things that are convenient, things that are simple, things that are doable. What can you do? What are things that you can do that you can start to string together, that you can have consistency with? If I tell you that I want you to work out for 30 minutes 3 times a week, you're going to go, come on, bro. That's easy. Well, that's great. Because if it's easy, then it's going to be repeatable. If it's repeatable, then we have consistency. If we're consistent with something and it's simple and easy enough, then guess what? We don't need to be motivated for it. I mean, it'd be nice if we had a little extra oomph for it, right? But we don't really need to rely on motivation. And that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about consistency, knocking shit out of motivation, because you're so consistent with stuff that you do it so often, do it so frequently, that it's now part of your character. It's part of who you are. It's habitual. It's a habit. And so how do we do that? We do it, in my opinion, with underhand pitches. What are underhand pitches? Well, think back to when you were a wee little kid, right? Think if you had a 6 or 7-year-old kid in front of you and they had a baseball bat and you had a baseball that you were going to throw to them. First of all, you don't really even start out with a real baseball bat, right? Start out with like a wiffle ball bat or those giant red bats. Remember those from when you were a kid? The giant red bat and the wiffle ball, right? Why do we throw a wiffle ball? Because you can throw a wiffle ball as hard as you want and it's always going to move slowly. So that's why we have a wiffle ball. Sometimes the ball is even bigger, like a softball, right? Nice juicy ball that somebody can smash, right? When you go to throw the ball to the kid, you're not like bringing heat, like you don't have the ball behind your back. Look at that flexibility, huh? Not bad. You don't have the ball behind the back and you're not like nodding off the pitches and stuff, and then you're not, throwing some crazy heat at the kid, right? You're not throwing them sliders and curved balls and all kinds of stuff. You're going to show the ball to the kid, okay? You're going to show it to him. You're going to stick the ball out and be like, yo, keep your eye on the ball. Watch the ball the whole time. And then you're going to pitch it to him, and you're going to give him an underhand pitch, and you're going to take it real slow, and you're going to release it kind of slow, and the ball's going to come out, and hopefully they can keep their eye on the thing, and hopefully they can swing, and over a period of time, they'll make some contact. Well, once they make contact, what happens once they make contact? What happens if they don't make any contact? Let's say you pitch them the ball, underhand pitch, boom. Here you go. Oh, you got to watch the ball. Okay, try it again. 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, 10 times. Don't hit the ball. They want to go do something else, right? What happens when they hit it? Boom, they hit it right back at you. It hits you right in the nuts. They couldn't be more excited, right? Why does that always happen? Why does it go right there like a heat-seeking missile every single time? Once they make contact, what happens? Now they're motivated. Now they're excited. Now they want to do more. Now you're out there with them for 3 hours straight, and you're like, oh my God, I'm totally dying. I just want to go inside. And they kill you, right? Motivation is going to happen once you get rolling on something, once you get started on something. The underhand pitches are key. They're keys to life, I think. They're things to live by. How do we have underhand pitches when it comes to training? Let's say that you've been out of the gym for a little while. Let's say the COVID thing kind of threw you for a loop and you've been unmotivated. You're not pumped because you're not seeing the same crew of people that you normally see. You're not seeing people smiling. All you're seeing is masks everywhere, and all you keep hearing is negative news, and all this stuff is just kind of crushing your soul at this point, and you can't deal with it any longer. But now, maybe in your area, maybe the gyms are starting to open back up to some degree, and now it's time to get back into the gym, and you just don't have the motivation. It doesn't feel like the motivation's there. Well, the motivation is going to come once you actually start doing something. So you need to give yourself an underhand pitch. An underhand pitch would be, I am going to go to the gym today, and I'm going to be there. I'm going to set the timer on my phone, and I'm going to do 10 minutes, and I'm going to pick my favorite exercises. What's your favorite body part to train? You like to train your back, you like to train your biceps, whatever it is that's your favorite. Start with your favorite. Train it for 10 minutes. Most likely, it's going to turn into a 10-minute walk. 10-minute walks oftentimes turn into 20-minute walks, and sometimes even turn into hours of walking, for me anyway. And I think the same is true with a lot of you. You guys shared that with me. Hey, I started off with 10-minute walks, and now I'm walking an hour every day, split up throughout the day, a couple times a day. That's great. That's fantastic. That's what we need. We need underhand pitches. So give yourself an underhand pitch. Don't talk to yourself about how hard the workout's going to be. Don't talk about things that you're going to do in the future. Remember, cowards talk about what they'll never do, right? We're not cowards. We're people that are doing. We're people that are following through. We're embracing our fears. We're following through with our dreams, right? And when you embrace these things and when you start to take them on each and every day and you start to do, you'll start to feel better all the time. When it comes to your nutrition, what about just eating one good healthy meal a day? Why try to dive in so hard on something that you've never really been successful? Let's say you've never been successful with your diet. You've been heavy your whole life and now you're sick and tired of it. And, starting Monday, you're going keto and you're not eating any carbs for the rest of your life, right? These are the kind of conversations that we have with ourselves, but they're too much. They push too far beyond. And you want things that are a lot easier. So what would be a nice underhand pitch? Nice underhand pitch would say, I'm going to start to eat a little bit better. I'm going to have one good meal a day for each day of the week. Then next week, I'm going to incorporate and bring in 2 meals. Next week, I'm going to see if I can push that a little bit further. Why not start out real slow? And then also, again, with your food, pick things that you like. Now, I know you might think, oh, I'm going to pick peanut butter cups, or I'm going to pick ice cream, or, things that aren't great for you. But you have to be reasonable. These have to be things that align with your goals. So you would have to say, okay, well, what are some healthy things that I like, and what are some ways to get lean? What are some ways to get in shape? We know that protein leveraging is key. So we know that eating protein is really, really important. So what are some proteins that you like? The protein that you like, if it is like sausage and bacon and fattier things, then maybe you might select a keto style diet because maybe you just enjoy fattier foods. That would mean that you wouldn't be allowed to eat a lot of carbohydrates because your fat calories will be high. We don't want the fat calories and the carb calories to be high because we're going to tend to want to overeat too much. Maybe you enjoy potatoes. Maybe you enjoy rice. If that's true, then we'll have to lower the fat calories down. You're kind of taking a little bit of give and take here and there, right? But find things that you like. What are whole foods that you enjoy? If you like vegetables, eat them more because vegetables don't really have a lot of calories to them. Find proteins that you like. If you stick to protein, eat protein first at each meal, and then you eat your vegetables, and you stick to that plan, and you mainly eat protein and vegetables, you're going to be really lean. You're going to lose a lot of weight. And then if you feel like you still need another filler in there, you might want to add a little bit of carbohydrate into the mix, but be reasonable about it. These are all things that you can implement, and you can get that incremental progress that I talk about all the time. I want to read you something. I've been looking at a lot of James Clear's stuff from James Clear. He wrote a book called Atomic Habits. I've been looking at a lot of his stuff more recently, and I took kind of a quote from him and something from myself and kind of molded it together, but I'll just give him credit for it. Motivation will not make you start. The start will make you motivated. Motivation will not make you start. The start will make you motivated. So you have to figure out, how do I just get started? You hear me talking all the time about one foot in front of the other. You got to take that first step. The only way the first step is going to happen is to actually just take it. There's not any other way for me to share with you than to tell you that you just have to go and do it, which doesn't sound like great instruction. I wish I had more information to be able to share with you, but you just have to start. And one of the reasons why you have to start is because you have to learn about what that's going to do for you, and you have to feel it for yourself. You also need to fail fast. So let's say that you're excited, you want to start running. Well, you're like, okay, well, I go out and I run. You start running. Well, your ankles hurt, your knees hurt. Let's say you go and try to do it again. You keep working on it, and your ankles hurt, your knees hurt. You've learned something. Running's not for you. So now you try cycling because it's just the running was too much on the ankles. Well, then you feel good with riding your bike, and now you're off to doing cycling. I mean, we hear these stories all the time. I see them all the time. I hear you guys tell me these things all the time. You're like, oh man, I didn't really like that exercise, so I just moved into something else. But you have to do them. You have to give them a go and see how your body feels from it, see how you respond to it, because we need things that are simple. We need things that are easy. If you go and do something and it's super painful, let's say something like squats. I think everyone thinks they need to squat. Well, if the squat is really painful, then we don't need it. It's not part of our recipe for getting better. Maybe it will be at some other time, but if it really hurts your knees or it really hurts your hip, pain is a great indicator that that's something that you don't want to do. There's some feedback there that's super negative, and we don't want negative. We want positive. We want to stay on the positive side. So again, motivation is going to be the toughest in the beginning. It's going to be toughest from the start. You're going to have the most friction in the beginning. Whenever you try something, whenever you start something new, that's where there's going to be the most friction. But we want to always try to figure out how do we lower those barriers of entry into what it is that we're going to do. How do we continue to give ourselves underhand pitches, things that we can hit? When you have an underhand pitch, that's a sucker that you can knock out of the park every single time. But if we start throwing ourselves curveballs and sliders and stuff, it's going to be a mess. We need to build that consistency. Something I'm thinking about with my dad, going on these walks with my dad every single morning. He just said he's not very mobile. He's had a bunch of surgeries over his lifetime. He's not in the greatest of health and stuff like that. And so he's like, I wear my sweats to bed. He's like, it's just easier. He's like, so I put my stuff on because he's like, I don't want to be late for the walks. And even my cousin, who doesn't have those same issues, years ago, she's a teacher, and years ago when she was trying to get into her fitness and start training more, she would do the same thing. She would throw on her sweats because it's freezing cold in New York, and when she got up, she was like, there's no way I'm staying up. I'm getting back underneath those covers and getting in that nice warm little pocket that you get into in your bed, and you just kind of snuggle there and huddle up there and fall back asleep again, right? She was just like, I need to do something with my fitness. And so she would put on most of her clothes. All she'd have to do really is put on her shoes, throw on a jacket, she'd be out the door. So what are ways that you can figure out how to get ahead? I think oftentimes we're fighting this uphill battle. We're really pushing heavy ass weights up a hill all the time. And you could be behind those weights and you could be going downhill. You could be heading towards your goals really, really fast, and you could have a lot of momentum built up if you were just starting to do stuff. There's a lot of little things that you could be doing that that you could be doing that you don't do, that you push off, and then those things build up. A great example is the dishes, right? You don't want to do the dishes right when you're done with your food because you ate and you're full. Now you just want to sit on the couch, unbutton your pants, and just sit there and be fat for a little while. But how long does it take to rinse off your dish or to even wash it completely? It only takes a couple seconds. Most of us have running water, soap. We have a scrubber just sitting right there. It only takes a couple seconds to do it. And if we do that, we'll stay ahead all the time. But when you don't do that, the dishes will pile up. Now we got a couple dishes in the sink. The pan is still dirty. And then after you watch your favorite show, after you watch some Netflix, you get up and you look at the sink, and that's the last thing you want to do before you go to bed. And you're like, I still got to brush my teeth and still got to do some other stuff. So then you go to sleep, you wake up the next day, all the great intentions that you normally have, all the hopes and dreams that you have for the day, all the plans that you have for the day are dead and shot before you even have your first cup of coffee, because as you step towards the kitchen's a mess, everything's all jacked up. You were going to make yourself some egg whites and some steak in the morning to start your day, and now your pan is dirty and you're like, F that, I'm not even going to bother because I don't feel like doing the dishes. Maybe you grab a protein shake on your way out the door or something like that if you're lucky, but we know that a lot of times we're just flying around and these things keep building up. Now you go off to work everything's a little bit behind, everything's a little bit disordered. You go through your day, and again, you have the intention of eating healthy when you get home, and those damn dishes are still there. They don't magically get cleaned up, and now you're, ordering food out or something like that. So how do you continue to give yourself these underhand pitches? I want you just to look at your own life and examine, like, what are some areas that you can look at or look into where you can be a little bit faster. For me, right when I get home from a long day of work, first thing I do is I usually try to get right in the shower. It doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes I'm lazy, sometimes I screw that up, but then that pushes everything off. Then I need a shower in the morning, and then I wake up super early, and I find myself trying to change in the dark, and I put on a bunch of weird colors, and I don't know what's going on, and it just throws me off for the whole day. If I would have just simply done the thing that I needed to do when I needed to do it, I would have been fine. Remember that consistency is going to be the key. And I want you to figure out not how do you be motivated. This is a wrong question that you keep asking me. Smelly, how do I be motivated? People's coach, how can I stay motivated? It's not about being motivated. It's about being consistent. And when you're consistent, guess what else happens? You get results. And you want to be motivated like a motherfucker, it's going to come from your results. It's going to come from you proving to yourself, as Rocky says, that you're not just another bum from the neighborhood. When you prove to yourself that you're somebody extraordinary, and you prove to yourself that you're somebody in this world and that you're someone of significance, that will be motivating to you every single day, and you'll wake up fired up every single day. Strength is never weakness, weakness is never strength. Catch you guys later.